Boxingego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. 1. Special Kell Brook versus The Truth. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. You know, great news just came in today. I want to clear the air. Some people were acting as if this isn't good news, like on social media and whatnot. And the purse bid for the long anticipated fight between Kell Brook and his mandatory, the best mandatory that he's had on the rankings and from the eye test, Errol Spence Jr., it was supposed to go to purse bid tomorrow. However, they have elected to do an extension. Now, again, some people are making this like it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, and I'm going to tell you why. The extensions before were a bad thing for if you're just a boxing fan, because Errol Spence Jr. was not a party to those. This was basically Kell Brook had an eye injury sustained in the Gennady Golovkin fight, and he requested a medical extension, so it didn't go to purse bid by a certain time. So everybody in the boxing world had to wait for the negotiations. Okay, come off for injury. So it was a long, they gave him a 90, I think it was 90 days. So he had a long period where there was no talks, no communication, or they weren't obligated to. And if you're not obligated to, then why would you be doing it? So he was probably just chilling, spending the holidays with his family. But in February, I thought it was late February, but I guess it's supposed to be tomorrow. Was supposed to be the day it goes to purse bid. A purse bid, for those who don't know, is when the two camps, like there's a mandatory situation like we have here. Errol Spence is the mandatory for Kell Brook. So the purse bid is by rules when the two parties can't agree on what should be happening. Then it goes to an auction style bid, and the highest bidder secures like the rights to the fight. So usually it'd be a representative from Al Heyman's side, like Lou DiBella, whoever's promoting it, versus Matchroom, Eddie Hearn. And whoever puts up the highest bid secures the rights. For example, Deontay Wilder, that's why he was going to fight Alexander Povetkin, because Lou DiBella got outbid by Povetkin's promoter, WOB, World of Boxing, and put up a crazy amount. I think Lou DiBella put up $5 million for the fight, and the promoter of Povetkin, WOB, put up like $7 million plus to secure the fight. That's why they had the right to stage it in Russia, giving their fighter the hometown advantage. Now, this is the same thing. But what is being said now, ESPN's talking about it, and Boxing News. And the thing is, what's being said is the IBF got a request for another week-long extension so they can ensue with the negotiation process, because it's going smoothly and they haven't finalized everything. They haven't determined the site. They haven't put everything in stone, but it looks like they're reaching an agreement, if you guys understand and follow me. So everything is amicable. Everything is going smoothly, in other words. So as a result, they're like, just give us a little bit more time. We just need a little bit more time. And it looks like they're probably seeing eye to eye on the same wavelength. They have to finalize some of the additional details, like where's the venue. It's most likely going to take place in late May, and it's most likely going to take place in the UK. It makes more money in the UK. It makes sense in the UK. Kell Brook is the champion from the UK. Errol Spence said he would go to the UK, or his trainer who represents him said that. His trainer since the amateurs. So you guys see it. That's what you're seeing in the title, and that's where we're at with it. And I think this is great. Errol Spence, I told you, I've been following this intently. He's staying in shape. He knew his opportunity was coming, be it at the hands of Kell Brook or the next person in line. He was not. He's like you see in the hashtag strap season, hashtag stay ready, hashtag man down. This is 3 weeks ago. So he knew he was fighting somebody, and somebody in the first 6 months of 2017, and it looks like he's inching closer and closer to actually fighting the champion, which is the best possible case scenario, because win, lose, or draw, you have the opportunity, and that's all that people like myself have been asking for. Kell Brook had no problem fighting any other mandatory, so it shouldn't be a problem now, right? Jojo Dan, Kevin Bezier, who lost twice to Jojo Dan. Now you have a dangerous mandatory that the boxing public wants to see you fight. It's a 50-50 fight. It's a good fight. So there should be no half-stepping. So it's good for me. I'm not going to... I don't care. Like, if everything's going smoothly, there's no reason for criticism in this. But in my opinion, I do think Kell Brook has somewhat been backed into a wall where there's a ugly flashlight that has been shined on the subject, and it escalated and snowballed to the fact where you have to fight this smiling kid that you guys see on the screen. You know what I'm saying? Because it would look very, very bad if you didn't. And I've been maintaining the same thing. I stay consistent on my channel. It would look extremely bad if he moved up to 54. Because the 54 has some killers. That's one thing. And I told you guys that. 154 has some straight killers up there. And you're clamoring for a big fight. So who is your big fight going to be? You know what I mean? Who are you going to fight? Are you going to fight Edeslandi Lara? Are you going to fight the Charlo brother? He has a fight coming up with Hatley, right? So who are you going to fight? Canelo moved out of the division. That's one of your money fights. So where's your big fight there? Vanes Matarosen? You know what I mean? The other thing is, fights like these are generally easier because they're like obligations, you know what I mean? Obligatory that you fight Errol Spence. And then the IBF has a say because this is their belt that you're holding, their hardware. Versus if you fight Edeslandi Lara, that's you're at his mercy kind of, because you're in a new division where he's a champion. And you know what I'm saying? To me, that's not going to be a huge money fight either. It'll be a good fight, but it's not going to be a huge money fight, right? For Kell Brook. And then again, Edeslandi Lara, he's a champion, right? So, I mean, would the champion be willing to go to the UK when he doesn't have to? When you're coming to his division? So, you know what I mean? It's easier to make this a fight like this. Same thing with Demetrius Andrade. He's fighting Jack Kulke in Germany in March. So that's another option. So I think, to me, Kell Brook has kind of been backed into a corner where he has to face this young, hungry lion. Amir Khan was his go-to person. He wanted to fight Amir Khan. He's been wanting to fight Amir Khan. Amir Khan did what was right for his career. He's like, man, I got knocked out bad in my last fight. I'm not fighting him straight away. Coming off of a long layoff and a hand injury. I'm not doing it. So that was one option. Pacquiao ain't trying to fight no young, hungry lion. And he's probably fighting Jeff Horn, which is, I guess, his young, hungry kangaroo or wallaby or whatever. So all roads lead to Errol Spence. And again, it would have been perceived as a clear duck if he left the division with all this pressure to fight Errol Spence looming. And I don't think they anticipated that. So this is what Errol Spence posted that you guys seen in the title. Very short and sweet, to the point. Soon, ... devilish grin emoji, hashtag man down, hashtag strap season. So he's clearly happy and he's waiting for this moment, and it looks like he's closer than ever to actually landing it. And it's so much better this way, because if Kell Brook vacates, like Errol Spence, the biggest thing is we know he's talented. Kell Brook's admitted that he's talented. He's an Olympian, represented the USA, and he just doesn't have the big name. So if Kell Brook did vacate and said, you know what, F this, I'm going to fight at 154, then obviously he would have to fight, Spence would have to fight the next man in line. But it's much better when he fights a champion, because if he beats a champion, that's a better accomplishment than fighting for a vacant belt, period. Right? So I like this, and I'm glad. I think the thing I told you guys too for Kell Brook is it did not look good based on what was being said, because a lot of people, they keep saying, but hey man, he's coming off of an eye injury. But that's true, but he's had plenty of time. Well, he's had the proper time. Nobody told him to fight Errol Spence 2 weeks after Golovkin. You know what I mean? So the doctors are going to give you a time frame and say you can or cannot compete. That's one thing. Two, nobody told you to go up and fight Golovkin. You knew he was supposed to be a monster at middleweight. You know what I mean? No one told you to just jump up there straight away without acclimating your body and say, hey, I'm eating what I want. I'm a real middleweight. Like, it just didn't make sense. So that's your bed, and you got to lie in it. And beyond that, the biggest point that I keep saying is the reasoning and rationale for Kell Brook wasn't making sense. I understand weight struggles. I understand killing yourself to make a certain threshold or certain weight, but you cannot say, I'll make that weight for Pacquiao. I'll make that weight for Amir Khan, or if Floyd wants to come back, I'll make that weight, but I'm not going to make it for my mandatory when you've had no problem fighting any other mandatory. You can, that's the quintessential definition of cherry picking. If you say you can make it for Pacquiao, who's not even a big welterweight, Khan, who has 3 welterweight fights and got knocked out in his last fight with his eyes open, right? You can't say those things, but then when it comes to Errol Spence, oh, people aren't really knowing the name. Who is he? He's a good fighter, but people don't know. No, that is the equivalent of cherry picking, because I understand the business of boxing. Okay, your sights were on Pacquiao. Okay, who wouldn't want a Pacquiao? Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, all these dudes, Terrence Crawford, they all want a Pacquiao fight. It's guaranteed notoriety if you beat him, and you'll probably get a career high payday or one of your highest paydays. So I get that, pursuing that, but he's not trying to fight you. There's no indication that he's trying to fight you next, and there's every indication that he's probably going to fight Jeff Horn, and he's a senator, right? 2, Amir Khan. Okay, big money fight. You wanted it for 3 or 4 years, but like always, Khan has put up these different roadblocks and obstacles and moved the goalpost, if you will. So it didn't look like you were getting anywhere with negotiations. So I understand, okay, initially you wanted to fight Khan, but he keeps saying you fight Errol Spence. That doesn't sound like someone who wants to fight you straight away. Because if he wanted to fight you straight away, why would he say go fight your mandatory? I want a tune-up. I'll never fight Kell Brook. You know what I'm saying? Those aren't indications of someone who wants to fight you next for whatever reason. I don't even care the reason. So Kell Brook kept trying to bait Khan. You haven't got the fight for 3 or 4 years. Your career has to move on. So that's the biggest thing. Team Brook kind of put their foot in their mouth by saying they can make 147 for select people. That's not how it works. You're not in a position of power, especially coming off a first professional loss like a Mayweather, where you're this total boss, where you just look in the crowd and be like, Maidana, he impressed me. He's solid. He's a young, hungry competitor. So I want to fight him. And then they're going to just jump at the occasion and then fight you twice and then eat their way out of boxing and then retire. You don't have that. You don't have that type of clout. You're a good fighter, but you don't have the 19 years of decorated resume like a Mayweather or a Pacquiao even, where you're this shot caller, where it's just like you just point at somebody and there's no way they're going to turn down to fight with you. Because if that was the case, then Amir Khan would have fought you. And again, you can't select and pick and choose which certain people you would make the weight for. Making weight is a beast of a task. Credit to that. But again, you can't just, that, like I said, that's the quintessential definition of cherry picking. If you think you could just go through and select one person, I'll make the weight for him, but I ain't making it for him within reason. I'm not saying he needs to go fight Billy Bob Thornton, some unknown welterweight, you know what I'm saying? Billy Bob Thornton's son or something. I'm not saying he needs to fight somebody that low on the totem pole, but clearly Errol Spence Jr. is not that, because he's worked his way through the rank and now he's the #1 mandatory. So again, within reason, you can't just pick and choose who you want to fight in the division. And I think Brook's team made the mistake of saying, if you can't make 47, you can't make 47. No need to stick around and try or have excuses post-fight. But once you opened up your mouth and said, I'll make it for Khan, I'll make it for Pacquiao, it's open season, right? That's how the game goes. I used to work retail, right? And let's say I was supposed to clock out at 5 o'clock and it's 5:15 and there's a ton of customers still in and there's other associates. So if I stay and help one customer because it looks like they're going to purchase something big and I'm getting commission, and then I help them, ring them up, get the big sale, and then before I could clock out, there's another customer right behind them. They're like, hey, you. And they just seen me tell them that, hey, I'm staying after to help you for the big sale. And because that customer may be buying something a little bit smaller, I can't just dip out on them when they just seen me work with the customer at Best Buy with the 4K TV and then the Dolby surround receiver and all this expensive stuff, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh nope, I can't help you, you just want a 32-inch TV. That's not going to give me that much commission. It doesn't work like that, and that's a foul way for the boxing game to be ran. Again, if you couldn't make 47, that's fine, leave 47. Don't say you'll fight Khan, don't say you'll fight Pacquiao, just leave the division entirely and fight your big money fight, whoever that's going to be, at 154. So to me, like I said, I'm glad that they're getting closer, but I think Kell Brook is kind of having to choose this, having to fight this person, because it just ultimately it wouldn't look good. You have a guy who's been extremely patient. Errol Spence, he showed you respect. I mean, well, he says man down and stuff, but he hasn't really been harassing you. You know what I mean? And he's your mandatory, and the world's talking about it. And the last thing I want to say is, like I said before, is the excuses for not fighting him were very thin. They were very thin, like tissue paper excuses. Things like, oh, no one's really knowing who he is. But in that same interview, he's saying things like, oh, I fought Golovkin, and realistically, I'm a big name now. You know what I'm saying? So if you're a big name, then it shouldn't matter who you're fighting to a degree, because you know the UK fans are loyal, right? Anthony Joshua, he's fighting guys that I know are not buzzing in the UK. Shannon Briggs has more of a name in the UK than Charles Martin. Shannon Briggs is probably more well known than Eric Molina, right? Because those guys aren't from the UK, and they don't really have big names in the States. So I know they don't have a big name in the UK because they haven't really been fighting in the UK. So if you don't have a big name in the States where you primarily fight, then I know your name's not buzzing like that, unless you constantly going over to the UK fighting. Yet Anthony Joshua keeps having electric crowds fighting the Eric Molina. Now he has even better crowd because they built him up, and he's fighting a better person in Vladimir Klitschko. So you can't say that for Kell Brook. Can't say, oh, no one knows who Errol Spence. If they're supporting Joshua fighting Charles Martin, I barely, like Floyd said, I barely even know who the fuck you are. Like, we know who he is now, but people didn't really know who he was at that time when Joshua fought him. He had one fight with Glaskov that ended in a funky fashion, right? Eric Molina. These aren't big names either. Yet the UK fans, yet and still, are very supportive, period. And that's just how the game is. But I'm glad they're getting close. It looks like Kell Brook's doing what's right and getting on his bike, losing the weight that he said he could make for Khan, make for Pacquiao, and we should get a good fight. And again, once again, Kell Brook can win this fight. That's the thing. See, I keep it so realistic with you guys. Realistically. I don't have any reason to like skirt around the truth. This is a good fight, which is why we want to see it. You know what I mean? People keep leaving comments to me like, oh, what are you going to say if Kell Brook beats Errol Spence? What do you mean, what am I going to say? I'm going to say, great job, Kell Brook, if that happens. You know what I mean? Like, that's how some of y'all internet dudes is weirdos. Like, you guys take this like you're part of these fighters' teams or something, like you're getting paid from the fight. Like, I don't care if Kell Brook wins fair and square, then he won. Like, what do you mean? What am I supposed to say? My bank account doesn't change if Errol Spence wins or Kell Brook wins. I just want to see a good fight. I'm a boxing fan. Some of you guys, oh, what do you feel? How do you feel now? He's taking the fight. I feel great because this is what I wanted. Hope they do VADA testing and hope we get a clear-cut rightful winner. What do you mean? How do you feel? See, he's gonna take it. Like that hurts me. That's what I wanted, dummy. Let me know what you guys think. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you share the video, like the video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.